Welcome back to the revolution and welcome to your December video. There is a lot to go through, so I'm going to be looking at my copious notes here. That didn't look copious suddenly. It's a lot, okay? It's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of stuff. So pen, paper, notes, app, whatever you want to do. First thing you want to know is that on the 6th of December, Mercury moves into Capricorn. Now, the reason that's important is because Mercury will later in the month go retrograde in Capricorn. And what that means for us is that for the first time, perhaps for the year, we feel like we have the words we need. We feel like we have the grounding. We feel like we're in the right position strategically. Sometimes saying the right thing is not strategically sound. It can be very damaging, but all these different disparate elements are coming together to make the perfect opportunity for you to say what you want later. Not now, not at the beginning of December, but way into December when Mercury goes retrograde. We'll talk about that. But on the 6th, we have Mercury moving into Capricorn. On the 9th, we have Venus moving into Capricorn. Now, throughout November, especially as we're reaching this mid-November point and Sagittarius season will begin, you may feel like you have the energy, you have the wherewithal to do what you need to do, but you're still stretching to make ends meet. As we move into December, you will acquire, God willing, a plethora of resources in excess of what you need. So this period of Sagittarius season, which is traditionally one of running and moving forward and making things come to fruition, you do start the process, but really it won't kick into the kind of overdrive that you're craving and the fruition that you're craving until we get to Capricorn season. So not necessarily a season of waiting, but there are still elements of needing to, kind of enforce this patience on a mutable energy, which doesn't always go well. So you have this excess of perhaps worry at the moment, and then later in December you have an excess of resources and abundance. So it will, as everything does, balance out. Also, happy holidays, happy Sagittarius season, happy party season. You want to spin? Which hands on it, Anyway, so we also have a tendency during Sag season to want to run forward physically. We want to do all the workouts. We want to try all the trends. We want to, get all the shiny clothes. But you want to conserve a little of this energy, because with that big fruition push that we'll have in Capricorn season, you'll need a little more energy and a little more money than normal. So just keeping that in mind. I am going to be that annoying person that's going to suggest during holiday season that you not spend, that you save, that you insist that your family and friends understand that you need to do this for yourself. I'm going to be that person, and I'm going to reiterate that throughout this video. So if that upsets you, I'm really sorry, but I can't in good conscience, regardless. I mean, the astrology completely backs me up, but even if the astrology didn't back me up, as someone who is a securities trader right out of college, no, don't spend any money right now. Even Jeff Bezos came out and said that you shouldn't buy any big ticket items, and everyone's angry with him for saying it, but there it is. Okay. One of the things that we never talk about when it comes to Sag season that I think is important is how we all take on this sense of competitiveness, not with others. It's pretty normal. It's well known. Sag season is competitive. Sagittarians are competitive. But the way we start competing with ourselves, like we have some set goal for ourselves and when we get close to approaching it in Sag season, it's like we get into this neck and neck race with ourselves. It's us against our ambition. It's our family and our life and everything we love up against this need to dominate, even if the only person left in the race is you. You know, this need to dominate self. I've seen Sagittarians take this to extremes. I've seen it in working out. I've seen it with relationships. You know, I'm gonna stick by her. I'm gonna stick by him no matter what. Me being the her that the Sag was sticking by. So I've seen it from like a friend point of view. I've seen it from like my own life as like being a partner to a Sag. What's going on? Doesn't matter. It's not that it's not about the other person anymore. Of course, there's like care or love behind it, but sometimes it doesn't have anything to do with anyone else. It's like you, it literally is you against you. You're pushing yourself to be even more at work, or pushing yourself to be even more fit, or to hit certain mark. Oh, you're close to hitting it. Oh, well, let's up it. You know, when you are changing the rules of the game and you're only playing against yourself, things can get really fervent and frustrating and angry, and that fire that is mutable, it can go, you know, any way. It starts to shoot off in all directions, and it can really alienate people because if you are not taken in by that sort of competitive spirit in Sag season, then the other option that most people take is like just to be really jolly and really happy and really celebratory and want to see people and want to connect and want to be friendly and want to be out and want to party. So when you come at them going in a completely different vibe, going, you know, a million miles a minute, like, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna dominate this, you're gonna help me or get out of my way, like whatever you're on. People who are just kind of exhausted from the Gregorian calendar year and really need a rest are like, I love you, but I can't deal with this. Like, you are still going full force. And in your mind, if you're one of these people who's kind of overtaken with this Sagittarian, like, get to the finish line first spirit, you're like, this is the last big push. Like, what is the issue? And I want to point out that neither one of these are wrong, but one is definitely going to pull people in and the other is going to alienate people. So you've got to decide which one you would like to, you know, what camp you want to fall into. But you can be ambitious and you can be as driven as you want and still be, you know, aware and conscious that you can alienate people who are just trying to have a good time and they've kind of just checked out of the year already, and not judge them and be fine with it. And also see how that's going to help you dominate, because no one's doing what they should be doing and there's all kinds of advantages to be taken. So do that instead of pushing past people and alienating them. You know, swivel past them. They don't care. They want to like hang out and like be festive. So just like go do your thing. If you know there's some way that you could like just do it, just do it. So I think one of the ways that I put it here, and I wish I'd read it before I just said all that, because it would have been one sentence instead of that just tirade that I gave you, is that you need to give people a little time to come back to life. It's a much kinder way to put it. And when I write, I have a tendency, because writing, when you actually physically write with a pen, it turns on the creative center of your brain, as opposed to working on a computer, which turns on the more mechanical centers of your brain and the more kind of analytical centers of your brain. I have a tendency when I write to be a lot kinder than I am in my delivery. So I like having things written down now because it can kind of reel me in a little bit. I can be a bit harsh, I know that. So people are taking a little time to come back to life, you know. They've been in the cold, deep, still bog water for a month with every like pleasure and lust and nightmare scenario playing in their head while they're like in suspended animation. The more I think about it, the more I feel like Scorpio season is like like a sensory deprivation tank, you know? You just like, you get so in your head and so in your dreams and so in your fantasies because everything else is just locked down. And some people, when they come out of that, I haven't ever done it, but I can imagine that some people, when they come out of that, must be pretty disoriented, and it may take a second for them to like really get their bearings and be like, okay, I'm back in the world now. Is this real, or was that real, or like what's going on? Interestingly, this ties into a TikTok that I put up on Instagram on the channel's page about people in a coma, and how there are people who have been in a coma who lived whole lives. It's so fascinating. They lived whole lives, and they have like these all these memories. And I'm not laughing because I think it's funny. I'm laughing because I'm deeply uncomfortable. They have all these memories, and they had no idea they were in a coma. So, you know, coming out of a sensory deprivation situation where you're all in your head and you can like kind of make your lusts and your fantasies, you can call them to you. And then to come out of that and have to orient back to this, and, you know, fire and propulsion and mutability, and needing to, you know, be mutable. Like I said, go around it, swivel around it. This is not the Scorpio way. This is not what Scorpio season prepares us for. Scorpio season is not that season that prepares you for the next season. Scorpio season is like I said, it's like going into suspended animation. Like, you need a reset. You need to heal. You need to go and come back, you know? Hey, guess what? I love you. This Mercury retrograde in Capricorn is going to give you the words, give you the plan, give you the details, give you the way to say what you need to say, excuse me, to finally find a way out. Now, like I said, some of you have been looking for a way out for your whole life. Some of you just found out that you were in a cage. Some of you didn't even know you were in a cage. So a way out is like a moot point. But now that you know, here comes Mercury moving into Capricorn, going retrograde, and you're like, that's the exit. Like, you're just, it's so easy all of a sudden. It's wonderful. And Gemini, I think, have been triggered the most by Mars being in Gemini and now being retrograde. So this Mercury retrograde in Capricorn is going to be great for us. So let's start little tidbits here, and then in the videos we're going to talk more about your astrology and the tarot, and then the real breakdown of all of it will be on Patreon. All of this will be on Patreon first. And link for the Patreon subscription is in the box below. Okay. I don't know how we found ourselves on a different page from everyone we love. I'm not sure how we got over here, but I do know that we quite like it. I do know that we haven't done anything to alienate everyone. I think we just woke up to what part we were playing in other people's lives, and it did naturally put us on a different page. And people who cannot find their way to you right now, people who still feel like they can control you when you try to set a boundary, people who feel like you owe them, and so that obligation is what gives them some sort of power. You just can't handle it anymore. Anywhere in your life where you can tell that people are not seeing your true value, it's so obvious. It's not hurting you. It's not distasteful. It's not like making you angry. You're just like, wow, no, ew, like I can't do that. And of course that's only happening because we're finally, you know, we've woken up to our true value. And that is essentially what put us on another page from everyone else. That's what it is that we finally woke up to something that I think that everyone already knew and has known for a long time, but we just didn't know. In fact, now that we know, everyone's starting to act like they always knew, but we know that they always knew, but they were acting like they didn't know because we didn't know, and they were taking advantage of that. Only a Gemini will understand what's going on right now. We're going to talk more about this. Now all of a sudden they're earth, they're clingy. Earth means thirsty, thirsty means clingy or desperate. They're earth, now everybody's earth. No. From the 12th of December through into the 21st. love, love, love. It's a really big deal. It's a really big deal, and this is the vibe for your December. Just like, have you ever seen me in fucking earrings? And like, have you, like, we're doing it when one realizes that the people around you are not for you. Another way that I can put this applies to all mutables. This applies especially to Pisces as well, which we'll talk about next. When you associate love with instability, chastisement, embarrassment, neglect, abuse, you will inevitably grow up to choose partners, friends, families to marry into that you are terrified of, scared of. Because your attachment style is one where the love is contingent on this element of instability that caused so much deep, real fear in you in those formative years, that now if that element of fear and instability, which translates into your fear, is missing, there's no attraction there for you. There's no spark, there's no chemistry. And so this, it's not just about your romantic partners, it's about everybody in your life. And so if you're waking up to really big stuff like that, like I was, the last thing I think I wanted in the world was to be perceived. And so, as I've always been, right, Vedic Taurus, I'm going to do what I need to do to make sure that I'm okay. So I just kind of went quiet or went dark. And it was so, so, so good for me. So if you're a creator, a fellow creator, a YouTuber, a tarot reader, an astrologer, or just like someone who works on social media even, and you feel this sort of existential crisis coming on, I would highly recommend just taking a little bit of a break from the part of you that needs to be seen by others, if you can. I'm so lucky in having you guys because the work is what's important. I mean, like, I really appreciate where you guys reach out and be like, I miss your face. And that's really nice. But honestly, it's been few and far between. Most people are like more than happy to just be like, I love seeing the cards. So it was relatively painless for me. And I'm very grateful for that. But I also think it's because we know as a collective, how to hold a lot of space and grace for each other. And I think that you intuitively were just like, okay, she's like probably going through some stuff. My mother was diagnosed with breast cancer. So I think that you guys just wanted to give me a little bit of room, which is also so appreciated. Like, I didn't feel at all pressured. But now that I'm back, I can tell you now, let's move back to now to be perceived again, perhaps after a while. Some of you are already on that. You're a little bit ahead of me, as most Gemini are. But we're like, this is our vibe now. We're like, okay, I'm out, I'm back. Like, I want to look good. I want to be out. I want to like look good, feel good. And it's not even a surprise to me then when somebody I really, really would be interested in is just like wanting to talk to me, or like can't stop calling me, or because I wouldn't either. If I ran into me, I'd be like, oh my God, like, can we hang out? Like, so we're on that. Gemini are on that. And I think that in Sag season, we're kind of all on that. It's the Gemini-Sag axis. So let's go. So when we talk about this, like, escape, right? I want you to really see this as like the escape from the realizations of Scorpio season. Like, Scorpio season put you in the dark and it put you alone, and it made you see where the walls are too tight and what people are holding what doors shut. And now that you know, there's this part of you that's like, I know what doors are closed. I know who's standing in front of the door. I know exactly what's going on. I see the whole plot, man. I just need to go fix it. No, No. You need to wait. You need to wait till at least the 6th, until Mercury moves into Capricorn and gives you a solid game plan. What I have written here is allow the game plan to come to you. There is a game plan. There is a game plan. There is a plan that will work. Forcing it, rushing, trying to talk people into it, trying to talk yourself into it before it's time is not going to work. You just need to wait. The game plan will come to you. You know how caps are. They just like show up with like exactly like the thing and you're like, huh, thank you. And they're like, yeah, they know. They always know. They're like, this is the perfect thing. Now, this is really important. Before the plan occurs to you, before you have that aha moment, you will have bouts from mid-November until December 6th of feeling like you have completely failed. The game plan is never going to show up. You're going to be up. You're going to be down. You're going to be emotional. Oh my God, I knew as soon as I saw her in that sequin shirt that she wasn't telling me. And that you're wrong. You're going to go up, you're going to go down, you're going to be so vulnerable, you're going to feel defeated, you're going to feel on top of the world, you're going to feel like, this is a stupid plan, is this the game plan? I think something, is this the plan? Is this the game plan? It's not the game plan. If you're wondering if it's the game plan, it's not the game plan. It will come to you. You need to be patient. And in the meantime, it's still Sag season. Don't be hard on yourself. You know the best way? Okay, this is the way. Waiting for the game plan is easy if you center your life around having a good time. And this is not what you think I'm going to say. This is not like some Sagittarius bullshit. Honestly, it's not. What I mean is simply that while you're fulfilling your obligations, while you're doing everything that you have to do, that you're supposed to do, that you need to do, you can still make it fun. Music, different recreational substance, whatever, like you can make things fun. You can make that, laughing, telling jokes, laughing with the people around you, starting a conversation. You can make things fun. If you're having fun going through your day-to-day life, the game plan will just, even with this like whole manifestation thing, which has become like so toxic on TikTok, it's simply just thinking about stuff without needing it or wanting it or holding any kind of like personal desirous charge to it, which is like the complete opposite of what people tell you to do, which makes sense. That's why you think about something really random that you don't really care about and you have no real like for it, and then it shows up in your life in some weird way. Like you'll see it in a book or you'll see it on the street in some random way, or like someone will like have left something on the street and you're like, no. That thing, like that synchronous thing, it's just being able to hold on to something or hold on to a thought or be open to a thought without feeling the need to own it, desire it, need it, want it. Like you can get to the point where you're thinking about something that you feel like you need it so much you can't live without it, completely ensuring that you'll never get it, right? And then you like randomly think about like an otter sleeping, and like the next day there's like a video on your phone of like an otter sleeping, and you're like, and I think that the algorithms that now Google is making that can basically like predict what you're thinking and like what you'll do for the next 5 years or so, I think they're also learning that this is how our brains work. Like the computers, like the AI is also learning that this is how our brain works, that if we have a tendency to like hold a thought and then things will show up according to that thought, and the algorithm is kind of working in the same way because it's the easiest way to attract things to yourself. So you want the game plan, but you'll go through this really emotional period of still like super fixed emotions where you like want it now, give it to me, I want to get going, I want this fixed, I want it over. No. You want to have a good time, you want to get dressed up, you want to go out, you want to be cute, you want to look beautiful, you want to talk to people, you want to hang out, and your phone is going to ding, or someone at that party is going to be like, oh, guess what, or all of a sudden you're going to get an email and you're going to be like, oh, that's it. Just wait, just be patient. Don't be hard on yourself in the meantime either. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. Until December 20th, Venus in Capricorn makes it really, really hard to like not think properly, but how do you say it? Like emote properly. There's something so specific about Capricorn, the way Capricorn is. You can see it in their face. They want to say it. It's so obvious, but they won't say it. You know? Capricorn moons do this a lot. And so things are, until December 20th, things are really cool. Things are like, you know, and you want them to be hot, and then you're getting upset that they're not hot, and then you're trying to make them hot, and then you feel defeated, and then you're like trying to do it again, and then you feel even worse, and it's like every time you're like, oh my God, it's just reiterating to me that I can't do this. No, Venus is in Capricorn. Venus is like been through a lot. Venus is just gonna want to sleep, like in a cold room, sleep, like just leave me alone. It just like escaped Scorpio and is in Sagittarius now. Like it's just gonna want to sleep. So just like you're gonna walk into December being like, yeah, and Venus is like, I am going to bed. Like I can't help you. And you're like, give me the words to make the thing happen. And Venus is like, I'm sleepy. You know, it's not gonna work. On the 20th, you have, and then boom. So what's gonna happen? So then what? So then on the 20th, there is this Venus-Uranus trine. And this will finally break this ice that you're like, I have to, you know. And it allows all this, that's what I was talking about in the beginning, the end of December. So all this blocked abundance, everything starts to flow. So, and the game plan, you'll have the game plan. Don't worry. Now, money will get better, pressure eases, the bills get paid, something new comes in, saves the day. All these kind of moments happen for you where your loose ends financially start getting tied up and you start to feel a little bit of like relief from the stress. And that's why you're not going to relax back into spending money. Just don't. Now, on the 20th, you also have Jupiter moving back into Aries. Okay, so what does that mean? It'll stay in Aries until May 2023. Okay, so we will have all that energy, all that, you see, all these things will happen as of the 20th where we're like, okay, now I can actually do it. Now I have the game plan. Now I have the energy. Now I have, you know, Jupiter giving me all this like expansive cardinal fire. The real trick is getting from now until December 20th without making yourself feel like a failure because you want to get it done first in Sag season, which is how Sagittarius be. Okay. Now, a word on after the 20th. So after the 20th, all the locks are broken, right? All the obstacles are like the cuffs, right? Like the cuffs are off. Like you are unbridled. Just make sure that when that happens, you don't also take your gloves off. Like you still want to fight a fair fight. You still want to win in the right way. You still want to have that success in a way where you can look at yourself and be okay with yourself. So part of that Jupiter moving into Aries, which a lot of people are not going to want to talk about, and also if we're looking at the Vedic Jupiter moving into Pisces, then we're talking about this kind of undercurrent of ruthlessness that is apparent in both Pisces and Aries. It expresses itself in different ways in all the signs, but there's a marked line of cruelty in Pisces and Aries people. And it just like depends on how much that's like kind of brought out of them depending on their surroundings or their situation. So yeah, you can get caught up in finally, the doors are open and now I'm just going to do whatever I need to do and get whatever. And that becomes really problematic later when that karma whips back around at you. Because although you may have that streak as a Pisces or an Aries, you certainly cannot handle that from others. Now, after the 20th, there is a cascade of realizations about neglect and like really the stuff I was talking about before, like being seen and who sees you, who doesn't see you, what does that mean? Who are you underneath, your trauma, underneath your neglect, underneath who you should have been, who you would have been. And you begin to see how if you hadn't been neglected in those ways, how you would definitely stand out in this way or that way. And then you begin to see how you're really uncomfortable standing out in that way and how that's something that needs to be healed so badly. Leos will feel this especially, but also Aquarius. That axis will feel this because Aquarius, I think, has a natural tendency to be afraid of being seen because they know they're just intuitively, they're brilliant and they know that with being seen too much comes a level of ire and vitriol, and they generally can't handle it. They're too, for lack of a better word, they're too sweet. They're too sweet to handle that kind of like acerbic, stuff that can happen on the internet. It can happen between you and ex-friends. It can happen between you and a boss, employees. It can happen with anyone. But when Aquarius feels that uncomfortable, oh my God, I'm going to stand out now, they do have a tendency to keep in mind or like also include in that picture of like being seen and being afraid of being seen. A part of that is just a way to keep yourself safe from criticism, harsh criticism, unnecessary criticism. People, Aquarians are very aware that people just talk shit just to talk shit. So, and they're afraid of it, as they should be, because even if someone's just talking shit, their words can be really, really painful and they can leave permanent, like they can create permanent damage. So I understand what the reasonings are, especially for, Aquarians, but also for Leos who have that wound, where they weren't allowed to stand out or they were made to feel like there was something wrong with them. And so they should shun the spotlight and they should just know better. And it would be dignified for them to shun the spotlight. What a head trip to play on a Leo, right? These things are going to come up, and after the 20th, it can feel like for some people, they're like, yes, I feel so good knowing this, like I can move forward, and some people are like, fuck, like that really hurts. Like what? And you can, because you're human, make the mistake of getting caught up in the, if that didn't happen, I would be this. And I think this is a really good time to mention that that's just not true. You'd still be who you are, because underneath whatever's happened to you, whatever you're going through, whatever you're healing from, whatever you will heal from, you, the essence of you, it's still who you are. You're always there. You're always going to be there. Okay. Don't get emotional. Relax. Okay, take a deep breath. Now, these themes of healing and neglect, they just continue and continue and continue. And we do feel until Mars ends its retrograde in Gemini in 2023, like we're just trying to get out of the muck. Like emotionally, like we've talked about the abundance, we've talked about, the things that we need, like how we need to like swivel and use this fire, but the emotional muck that is Mars retrograde is like, there's so much to process, there's so much to understand, there's so much to not blame yourself for and blame others for, but then you also don't want to blame them because you want to have grace for everyone, but also like where are the boundaries, and then you set boundaries and people think they're grudges, and it's so complicated when you wake up to having agency in your life. And I think that's what we're really talking about, and how that creates these enormous ripple effects. But there are ripple effects that are being made in this like muck of Mars retrograde. And in January, it will finally subside, but until then, sometimes that muck is like family and friends and holidays, and sometimes that muck is like insane political stuff, and sometimes that muck is you sitting alone and having some flashback of something that happened when you were a kid, and now you're like, oh, yikes, you know? But it's a muck, and it doesn't happen very often, and you know Gemini doesn't like to work this hard, so it's not like it's like a happy endeavor, but it does have this sense to it. Like it really needs to get done. Like these drawers need to be cleaned out. These closets need to be cleaned out. Like we just need to do it. And it's interesting because we've moved from cleaning out our drawers and our closets and cleaning out our fridges to beginning the hard work of cleaning out up here. So of course it would first start in the external and then work its way in. Interesting. So even though you have your family and friends around you, or at this time you feel like you don't want anyone around you, and you know, like I said, some of us feel like we're on a completely different page from everyone else, regardless of how you feel, just remember that you're still in the muck. It's hard to discern left from right. Mars retrograde energy is really easy to be reactive. It's really easy to take things the wrong way, and just keep that in mind. It's not over yet. And also understand that when it comes to your emotional work, the best that you're going to get until January 2023 is breaking even. You know, there's not going to be any like huge like realizations, and then like something happens and you go to the person and you tell them and they're like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, that'll never happen again. It's not going to be like that. You're not going to have these like big sweeping moments where people take accountability, and no, that's not what we're doing, and that's not what they're doing. So, and it's more just, okay, I know this now, and now I can move forward and do something with it in my life. But in that situation, do you win or lose? No, you're just breaking even. It's more just about the awareness. It's not about winning, and that's what I'm trying to get across. No matter what you realize, no matter where the neglect came from, no matter what the circumstances are, it's no longer about the dynamic between you and them. It's really just about you. Also, I don't know why this is written here, but learn to code. For free, just on the internet. Just start learning. Just learn to code. Okay. Now, if you're having a hard time with this idea of waiting until January to really be able to make any progress on the emotional front, especially if it has to do with healing and family, then look at it this way. Look at it like getting an extension on a project that you have to present, and you get an extra month to do it. So first you'll get, your finances will start to fall in place, and then you have a whole month to really focus on getting things together, getting them the way you want them to be, and be happy about it, right? If you were presenting some huge project and you got an extra 30 days, you would be so grateful for the lull, so you could just like get things the way you wanted and treat it the same way. It's really just about how you're viewing these little setbacks here and there. As long as you have a healthy mindset, or like you're aware of why and what transits are causing this, it's fine. Now, Mars retrograde has also done a pretty good job, damn good job, of punctuating any relationship, self-belief, or other situation that we believe holds us back from our full potential. So some of us have had this realization about our upbringing, our parents. Some of us are having this realization about how we feel about ourselves now and how that's tied together. Some of us are realizing that this was a former partner, a current partner. It's something we're in school for. It's a roommate. It's a friend. But we can just feel it now. This person, this thing, this situation, this way of being, this way of dressing, this way, whatever it is, it's holding me back. I don't identify with this anymore. Now it's just an albatross, right? It's just something around my neck. I have here in all caps, we are dying to be let out of this cage. And we have this almost unhinged sense that there isn't a lot of time left and we need to take risks now. You know, it's Mars moving forward that will really be the opening of the cage, but we're ready now. And so we're realizing all these things and we're like, oh, this person's not good for me. And oh, this person's really holding me back. And so we just, like I said, we want to fix everything now, all this awareness. And what do I do with it? I have all this fire and, you know, I feel like a horse. I just want to run. What I need to do something with what I'm learning. There isn't enough time left. You know, I have to get out. But Mars will move forward and the cage will open on its own. And so all the time between now and then, you know, railing against it and trying to reason with it and trying to reason with others and trying to get them to understand your side and why can't you see that this is and why can't you take accountability and what, it's just not going to work because they are also in this Mars retrograde. They're also in their head. They're also thinking about all the things that happened to them and how they became who they became. They cannot do this with you right now. They can't. So we're all dying to be let out of the cage, and no matter how tempting, spending money and buying more things to put in the cage with you is not going to help. It's not. Late December, big stars, don't buy, don't splurge, don't spend, don't be emotional about your money. I've said this in the Cancer videos, and I think it really helped. Warren Buffett said, if you can't control your emotions, you'll never be able to control your money. On the 29th, and this is what I was talking about at the beginning, on the 29th, Mercury will go retrograde in Capricorn. And you thought the bullshit was over. It's not over. First, the Geminis were being crazy. Now the Gemini and the Virgo will be crazy together. What does that mean? You're rigid about your thinking, you're rigid about your plans, you're rigid about things changing, you're rigid, you're against everything, you don't want to listen to the opposition, you don't want to listen to your haters, and you should be doing the complete opposite. Mercury goes retrograde and you should spend no money and you should be very flexible in your thinking and you should be super attentive to your opposition and to your haters, and you should be listening carefully to anything they want to tell you about what they think of you and what you got going on, because they already see what's coming down the pipeline for you and they cannot stand all the stuff that you're about to get. You've got to come to the uncomfortable realization at some point or another in your life that your haters believe in you more than you do. That's why they be like putting you in situations that you're not even in. They be like ascribing all this shit to you that you haven't even done yet because they like that much believe in you. They believe in you so much more than you believe in you. You can have all kinds of doubts about yourself. Your haters like, I know that bitch is making mad money doing this, this hoe is probably doing this. Oh, you know what I heard, but they already put you in the center of everything. They already have you doing this, that, and the other thing and making this kind of money and that kind of money. They're counting every dollar in your pocket. They gossiping about you like you're a fucking celebrity. Like, they believe in you so much more than you do. Your opinion of yourself fluctuates wildly. It does. Sometimes throughout the day, sometimes week by week. With women, it could be like the week we're getting our period, not getting our period. Like, it is crazy. Like, we can look in the mirror and we don't even see the same person. Because depending on how much estrogen is in our system, we're just like, you know what I mean? So you can have this wild fluctuation, your opinion of self, and of course that then makes a huge impact on how much you get done, what you can get done. But your haters, you know, they have this like consistent stream of belief in you. They just know that you got it, that you're gonna keep getting it, that you always had it, that they couldn't take it away from you if they tried. That's why they gotta do what they gotta do. What else are they gonna do? What else are they gonna do? I don't know. So, wherever you feel in December that you are being held back, realize that it is a block that is being put in front of you so the mutable fire can make a way around it. Because in that making a way around it, in that game plan that you're going to find, you will end up with such a better result if you had you'll end up with such a better result than if you had just gone straight forward and had everything your way. So yes, it's annoying, and trust the process, and the journey is the best part, but no, sometimes the result being a lot better than you thought it would be is the best part. The journey. So, la la la. Okay, another thing here that's really important, and it ties into like, you know, waking up to your feelings of neglect, or waking up to just the realization that people around you don't see your value or don't see you the way that you really are. You don't want to go and confront these people, especially if they're in a position of authority. If they're your parents, your boss, you know, like somewhat your manager, whatever, like just don't. Like, there's no reason, no one's gonna listen, nobody cares, no one's gonna change anything right now. So there's no reason other than to just make more problems for yourself. And if you're like, oh no, I just need to get it off my chest, I'll feel so much better. No, you won't, because the response you're gonna get from them is like it's negligible. It'll be like, and then you'll feel worse. And by the beginning of January, you're not even thinking about the past anymore. So what's the point here? The closure you're looking for, you're gonna get it anyway. You're gonna get it from realizations. You're gonna get it from being smart. You don't need it from them. If they were smart, we wouldn't be here. So you be smart. And when you can see the past how it is, and you're not emotional about the past, and you're not upset about the past, and you're actually thinking about the past, you just acknowledge it the way that it is, it becomes pretty easy to make a plan for the future. If you don't understand the past and you're still in the bog and muck of it, and you're like living your life looking backwards and moving forward, how can you make a plan? You're still trying to figure out what happened back then. It's too messy. It's too cloudy. You need to have some cohesion and some like order and stability back there before you can look forward. It's taking too much of your attention. It's taking too much of your energy. But now that you've acknowledged all these things, you have all these realizations. These last 10 days, 11 days of December, you don't need to look back anymore. You know what's back there. You fixed it. You organized it. You went through it. You sorted through it. And when you look forward, you're not going to want to go talk to that person and yell at them and be like, confront this person and be like, you were my friend. How could you do this? You were supposed to do this. You were my parent. You won't need to. You won't want to, because instead you'll have a plan for your future. And your future doesn't include all of this stuff. This is just the stuff that we got to do. We got to acknowledge it so we can move it away, and we can actually be who we're supposed to be. Damn it. Try to be as patient as you can with these people though, and try to be as patient as you can with yourself. Like, any way that you find yourself treating people, when you're out in the world the next 10, 20 days, when you're out in the world dealing with people, just realize that the way that you're dealing with them is how you feel about a certain part of yourself. If you are going to be super, super delicate and nice to yourself for the next month, and then you're out there being crazy to people, just realize that whatever you're getting out is stuff that you actually feel about yourself and you want to take out on yourself. You're being impatient with that person because you're impatient with yourself. You're not giving that person space and time because you don't give yourself space and time. You're triggered by those people being like this or being happy because you don't let yourself do those things. So use this time, Gemini Sag axis, as the wonderful, beautiful mirror it is. Gemini season is a mirror that's kind of too bright to look in. Sagittarius mirror is gorgeous, smart, easily digestible. You know, Sagittarians, don't take this the wrong way, but they know how to dumb it down. They know how to dumb it down just enough that the abstract doesn't scare you. Use it. all signs breakdown, I will put the all signs breakdown up, but I think I'll do it as a separate video because it's getting really long already, and I think you guys should have this for the beginning of Sag season. So any other words? I think when it gets dark and we have to light the fires and put up the lights, some of us feel more at home than we ever do. Some of us feel so cozy. And some of us can feel really alone. You know, it's too dark. It's too lonely. Everybody else seems to have someone, or lots of people, or lots of places to go, or lots to do. So you're either caught up in the fanfare or caught looking in from the outside. And so just a word to the people caught outside. As someone who can go back and forth between these two worlds, I would just like to let you in on a little secret. It's not what it looks like. You can look in those windows and you can see glittery outfits and shining faces and people smiling or singing or eating together. But I guarantee you that every one of those people, every one of those families, every one of those situations is populated with issues and hurts and pains, and they're all feeling probably just as lonely as you, if not more. And the only reason I say if not more is because, speaking from personal experience, I have never been more lonely than when I am surrounded with a group of people that I don't want to be around. So I don't know if that's much consolation at this time of year where we can all feel really lonely. I think what I mean to say is that loneliness is just part and parcel of the human condition, and the existential crisis that we all kind of stand on the precipice of can be more highlighted this time of year, and that's okay. But just know, we're all going through it. And hopefully, just knowing that makes us all a little bit kinder and a little bit easier to be around, and maybe even be there for each other. Because it's all like this right now for everyone. So don't get too caught on the outside. And, you know, I always say this time of year, if you really want someone to talk to, you can always DM me. I love you. I don't know why I'm getting emotional. Happy holidays. The Jets will never beat the Patriots.
Bro, fuck the Patriots, man.
Agreed, but the Jets will never beat
Yes,
them.
they do.
All Jets fans somehow are exactly the same. The fucking Jets are never gonna beat the fucking Patriots. You have to be out of your mind to think